So you just started learning calculus. You've probably already come into contact with some difficult math and you feel pretty good about yourself. And then your teacher tells you you need to memorize this. Yeah, you can already feel the frantic study sessions that are in your near future. How are you going to memorize that? Well, it turns out that the unit circle is filled with a bunch of nifty patterns. Once you learn to recognize them, filling in the gaps will be a piece of cake. Let's start with the degrees. Just looking at it, you can instinctively tell these numbers follow some sort of pattern, and you're right. Starting from the positive x-axis, add 30 to get your first degree. Add 15 to that to get your next one, and 15 to that to get your next one. As you approach the positive y-axis, add 30 one more time to get 90 degrees. The pattern repeats for each quadrant, going 30, 15, 15, 30. You can go all the way around the unit circle, just like that. It helps to know the degrees on each axis and the general quadrant each degree is in, but once you know that, you're all set. Next, let's talk about radians. There's a couple of different tricks you can use to remember the radians. For one, the denominators follow a repeating pattern of 6, 4, 3, 3, 4, 6, excluding the axes. You can also think of all the 3's as simplified 6's. For example, pi over 3 can be rewritten as 2 pi over 6. 2 pi over 3 can be rewritten as 4 pi over 6. 4 pi over 3 can be rewritten as 8 pi over 6, and 5 pi over 3 is 10 pi over 6. Noticing any patterns? It becomes really obvious if we rewrite the radians on the axes in terms of 6. You're adding all the way up to 12 pi over 6. Another helpful trick is that the radian in the middle of each quadrant has a denominator of 4. We start with pi over 4 in quadrant 1, 3 pi over 4 in quadrant 2, 5 pi over 4 in quadrant 3, and 7 pi over 4 in quadrant 4. To make these numbers easier to remember, you can always rewrite the axes in terms of the denominator 4. How cool is that? You can fill in most of the unit circle either by adding by fourths or adding by sixths. Just make sure you remember where each one goes.
Now let's talk coordinates. Like everything else we've talked about thus far, the pairings follow a pattern. It's pretty easy to remember the pattern so long as you know the order of the coordinates in quadrant 1. The coordinates in quadrant 1 go root 3 over 2, 1/2, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and 1/2 root 3 over 2. Then in quadrant 2, you follow the same pattern, but in reverse, going 1/2 root 3 over 2, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and root 3 over 2, 1/2. Then in quadrant 3, you switch it around again, starting with root 3 over 2, 1/2, and ending with 1/2 root 3 over 2. Quadrant 4 flips it around again, starting with 1/2 root 3 over 2, and ending with root 3 over 2, 1/2. You can go around the whole unit circle like this. Just remember to use the correct signs in each quadrant, and you'll be fine. And that's it. I hope learning these patterns makes the unit circle a little bit easier. I know I went fast, so feel free to rewatch, pause it, and take notes as you go.